as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by
Tyree. Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. It's your boy, David Tyree, checking in for another week. I'm super excited. Why? I got something a little bit more refreshing. We're going into another direction. We're talking to the athletes. We're talking to some friends in the business industry, but it's time to bring you behind the camera for real. Listen, every week we're going through the process, the journey. We're getting you where you need to be to catch your moment. And this week, I got my friend, David Seth Cohen, filmmaker, producer, director. Thanks for coming in this week, bro.
So happy to be here, David. Thanks for having me.
Listen, man, this is what we're here for, man. We bring you to the Q's table, the table of orange. You know, I'm not going to go too far into the Q's lane, but man, thanks for checking in with me. I'm going to get this one out the way. So, you know, obviously I'm known for a moment, and we're really trying to drive our audience to their moment of achievement, accomplishment. But, okay, I got to go back in the day. Where were you when you saw the helmet catch, and what were your thoughts? And you know, like I said, if you got any story, cool. If not, we're good. Move on.
Man, back in the day with the helmet catch, I was hanging with my dad, watching the Super Bowl, and I believe we were in my parents' house.
Okay.
And it was. I'm a Giants fan. So
boom. So we got disclaimers.
Yes.
So we vibing.
Born into a Giants family.
Nice.
And so
smart.
It
people.
was like, there's no way the Giants are going to win this game. We're screwed. It's over. And then like Manning's almost getting tackled somehow, and he doesn't have wheels
at all.
No, like Manning couldn't run. That was the one thing about Manning. Like he had a great arm and precise,
absolutely,
but the guy could not run. Yeah. Somehow he escapes being tackled, throws up a prayer, and there you are jumping in the air,
no doubt,
and catching the ball on your helmet and landing. It was like, it was just the craziest moment as a Giants fan watching that.
Oh.
And being like, oh my God, we actually have a chance. we could potentially come back and win this game. We could win this game.
No doubt.
And it was a cool moment for me as a Giants fan. And that just, anytime the Giants won a Super Bowl, it was always like super exciting.
Of course.
But that was a big victory because like, you know, the Patriots were ridiculous.
18-0.
Yeah. I mean, they were undefeated. They were going for the Dolphins record, if I remember correctly.
Heck
right?
Yeah, they would have took it out. They were already 18-0, so they chipped the 17-0 Dolphins, and you know, we sent them home packing.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I mean, it was
good. It
was awesome, and I can't even imagine how it felt for you getting up from that, and then even after, like, you know, winning the Super Bowl. And I mean, that's just like such an epic moment in somebody's life, especially like a player. I can't even imagine what it's like.
All super euphoric, man. But like I said, for me, it's always a moment that I share with. It's like sharing it with the Giants community, the fans, the people, the football community in general, having a moment. But bro, clearly, you know, it's not about me. It's about your moment. So let's get. I gotta get straight to it. And I don't even want to make any assumptions, bro. So like, what would you call your defining moment? You're a filmmaker, you're a producer, you've been in this, really, this is what you've wanted to do and you've been doing it.
Yeah, since I'm a kid.
So, you know, I know, you know, we're going to talk about Finding Sam. I don't want to make any assumptions, but what would you say is your defining moment in your career at this point?
As a filmmaker, like...
how about just life? Let's leave it with life, your defining moment.
Life, I would say, I'm going to give you my top 3 moments of my life.
Give it to me.
Okay. So, 1, marrying my wife.
Okay, let's go, big dog.
Yeah, she's amazing and super supportive.
Awesome.
And yeah, I wouldn't be who I am without her. So
go ahead, give her.
And I'm not just trying to kiss her ass because she's here.
Give a name out there. We want
Hillary Corman / Cohen potentially soon. She hasn't changed her name yet.
Hillary, we love you.
Yes. 2, finding out that I was going to be a father and having a boy.
Boy, dog. Okay, like we got to lean in. We kind of got into this. Talk about the importance of. Even though it's like this subtle thing in almost every dude, right? We're gonna say almost, like the energy when you found out it was a boy.
Oh, I mean, we were hanging out in our bed, just kind of about to watch a movie.
Yeah,
it was a Saturday night, and her email comes on her phone, and she opens it. And it's from the doctor's office with the blood test, because you know we got a blood test to find out whether the baby was going to be healthy and all that kind of stuff, and it also we tested to see if it was a boy or girl.
Excellent.
And, it's like Y chromosome. I'm like, that's a boy, right? She goes, yeah, I think it's a boy. I got up out of bed. I'm like running around. Yes, boy. Yes. Yeah. I was super pumped. So that was my number 2.
No doubt.
My number 3 best moment of my life so far was March 26, 2022. My film premiered at the Garden State Film Festival, and watching 200 people see my film and react to it was like epic. It was super cool. Unbelievable moment where, you work on this film. I happened to work on for 15 years.
I'm about to say, let's give the backdrop, because I peeped you on. We might have peeped each other on LinkedIn many years ago, and this was in the working.
Yes.
So talk about, because you are the epitome of catching your moment at the end of the day. Like, this was not a wham bam thank you ma'am experience. So talk about your journey toward what just took place in March.
So I worked on the movie Big Daddy back in 1998. I graduated college from Towson University in Maryland.
Yeah.
David Meggett went there, former Giant.
Okay, Big Towson.
Yep,
okay.
yep.
I actually played it for the Ravens, so I'm past Towson.
So you know the area.
Yeah.
So I went to Towson, graduated in 98. First job out of college, I actually worked for a wedding photographer. I was just like kind of an assistant, holding these like lights as he would shoot, I would go around and hold in the lights.
Nice.
And then after that, I started applying for jobs in the film industry. I just wanted to get on any film that I could find. And I applied to every single production company in Manhattan. I couldn't find a job, nothing.
Wow.
No callbacks, nothing. Finally, I got lucky and I got a job on the movie Big Daddy, starring Adam Sandler. And back in the day, when I was a kid, as I was growing up, like in the 90s and whatever, Sandler was on Saturday Night Live.
Of course.
Really loved him on Saturday Night Live. Loved the Hanukkah song. Being a Jewish guy,
no doubt.
there were never any Hanukkah songs ever on the radio. Like during Christmas season, there was not one Hanukkah song. And it was like, y'all
needed some love.
Sandler came out with the Hanukkah song, and it was like, we got one, and it's actually really funny and cool. Like, so it made you feel cool to be Jewish for a change. Hey, we finally got something going. So, loved him for that. And then, obviously his earlier films, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer. Loved those movies. And so he was like a hero of mine.
Definitely iconic.
So the fact that I got to work on Big Daddy, knowing that he was going to be the star. And by the way, Big Daddy was originally named Guy Gets Kid. They changed it to Big Daddy. Little fun fact for you.
Big move, because I would not have known. I don't think I would have caught on.
Have you seen it? Guy Gets Kid?
Scuba Steve was my guy, too. It was a great story. But go ahead.
I actually had to pick up that costume and deliver it to set.
That's
Scuba
fantastic.
Steve. So anyway, I'm working on Big Daddy in 1998. Just out of college, no cell phone at the time, nothing. Just trying to make it in the world.
Trying to hustle.
My boss, who was the costume designer, the night of the premiere for The Waterboy, it was actually November 4th, 1998. Sandler wanted to wear clothing from the set of Big Daddy.
Okay.
So my boss says, hey, David, take these clothes, deliver them to the doorman at Adam's apartment. Then I want you to take home this girl, Autumn. She was another PA in my department.
Okay.
After you drop her off, you can take the car back to the office, and then you could go home for the night. I was like, okay, great. So I go to Sandler's building. I double park the car. I say to Autumn, hey, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Go into the building, hand the doorman the clothes. He hands them back to me. He says, hey, just bring them up to Adam. I go, okay, no problem.
Oh, wow.
Don't have a cell phone, so I just figured it would be a 2-second thing.
Sure.
Go up to Sandler's apartment, knock on the door. From behind the door, he's yelling at me like he yells in his movies. Who is it? What do you want? And I was like, it's Dave. I'm just a PA here to deliver your clothes to the premiere.
Grumpy old man, huh?
Yeah. All of a sudden, the guy opens the door. He's got a huge smile on his face, and he goes, hey, man, you want to come in and hang out and have a drink? And I kind of froze at that point.
Bro.
Because, in my head, I'm like, all right, my boss is going to kill me if I stay. Wow. I have the girl Autumn in the car, double parked. Like, I don't want to get fired. And then the other part of me is like, dude, he's like your hero. You got to stay and have the drink.
No pressure.
No pressure. And like, I said, look, I can't stay. I got to go. I got Autumn in the car. I got to drive her home.
Wow.
And I left. Never had the chance to hang out with him again. Fast forward now to 8 years later, 2006. I turned 30, living in my grandmother's basement apartment with my girlfriend at the time and my 2 dogs.
Okay.
I'm a producer at a Catholic TV station.
Gotcha.
And I'm Jewish, so it was a little, unorthodox.
That's nice.
Great job. Appreciated the opportunity. Love what I was doing.
We love the diversity.
But it was, I had a priest as the host of my shows. So it just wasn't really where I thought I would be in my life at age 30. I always hoped that I'd be making movies and, doing what I always want to do, which is making films.
Got it.
And so one night I had this dream where I went to California and I went to start looking for Adam.
So this is a real dream. This is not like a dream in your head. This is like real dream.
Real dream. Like I would toss and turn at night sometimes thinking like, what if I stayed and hung out with Adam, Would he have given me some cool advice, or what would he have said to me that might have put me in the right path? There could have been something. I always equate this to like, some huge tech guy that like passes up an opportunity to hang out with like Steve Jobs when he was alive. Like,
somebody put you on Bitcoin and you miss out on Bitcoin.
Yeah, in some sort of way.
I think we all got a few of those, but
I didn't look at it as a monetary thing. It was more of like, what could he have said to impact my life, as a hero of mine. And so I never had that. So I had this dream.
Yeah.
And in the dream, I went to California. I went looking for him. And I would run into people from the set of Big Daddy and ask them to help me. Nobody wanted to help me. And then somehow I ended up in my vision of his production company.
Wow.
And I'm like in the lunchroom, right? And I'm sitting here and someone's sitting here and I'm talking to them. And then all of a sudden Adam Sandler's diagonal and he starts talking to me. And we start talking and then we start walking and talking and I woke up. And when I woke up, I was like, all right, this is a sign. I've got to do something about this, or I'm just going to regret this whole thing for the rest of my life.
Man.
Yeah, and it was at that moment that I decided that I was going to make a movie and called Finding Sandler, and I was going to document my quest to find him and try and have the drink that I passed up in 1998.
Listen, 15 years to get a drink.
Yep, 15 years.
So, because I'm tracking the timeline. So this is so monumental because number one, you're actually here now. Where with every story in between, and I'm sure some we'll get into, but now March 26th, this year, your story, actually even currently, it's still playing, it's still in festivals, it's still premiering in different locations.
Yep.
Talk to me about just, like I said, this is the process, and I would even say not just the process, what was the most painful, give me the real nugget for, because there's aspiring people, creators everywhere in this generation, and you've gone forth and done it before it was a thing to do. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the process and what that took you through and maybe the most painful.
The most painful part of the whole process was for 6 years, the film was like sitting on a shelf.
Whoa.
Yeah. So,
so this could have technically been at least done within 10 years, 8 years, 9 years.
Well, I was hoping that, when I first started the movie, I was like, I have a production company. This is easy. We can get this done quick and like, boom. And then I was like, oh, no chance. Like it ended up not being what I thought.
Got it.
There was a lot of hurdles. When you're trying to deal with getting a celebrity in your film, you're not just dealing with the celebrity as, the human that they are.
Yep.
You're dealing with all the roadblocks and handlers that are in the way.
That's so true.
And so that takes some time. And then, on top of that, I had done this Kickstarter campaign to raise money for post-production where I had a bunch of versions of the film early on, and I never liked the movie. I actually hated the movie at a certain point in time.
Got it.
And it just wasn't what I thought it could be.
Sure.
So I did this campaign to raise money, and I was hoping that ultimately I would bring on a company to come and help re-edit the movie and make it into what I wanted. That whole thing ended up being a disaster and ended up in a lawsuit. So I ended up in a lawsuit for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I finally won the lawsuit at the end of, right before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
And everything finally came to fruition, finalized.
Got it.
Recently. From that whole thing. So,
man, the
film was shelved for like 6 years.
Bro, you got an iron will, bro. I mean, thank God you're the winner. You're a winner too. Let me just acknowledge the fact that you're a winner. You won the case.
Yeah, I did. I did win the case. I knew I was right. But here's the way I looked at it. I had done a campaign. There were like I believe 400 and something people that had donated to this film and that wanted to see it done.
Yep.
400 people isn't a crazy amount of people, but it's a good amount of people.
Sure.
And a lot of it was friends and family, and then people that just kind of wanted to see this movie.
No doubt.
And that was always on my shoulders. It was like, I not only do I have to finish this film for all the people, the crew, the team that helped out, but all these people that donated because they wanted to see it done, I had to finish it for them as well. So it wasn't just about me getting this done. It was about everybody that was involved, everybody that had, a little part in anything for the movie. It was for them as well.
Man, listen, because that's what I think about. Anytime we set out to do something significant, and I think you have to keep the end in mind, because that is like the motivation. But what's not often taken true account is the missteps, the hurdles. You actually mentioned this, and I guess you could say I've had my moment in the sun with the helmet catch, and I know how it can feel to be exhausted and for people to want your attention. I'm talking about I had a micro moment, right? Like in relation to an Adam Sandler. So it's not easy when you want to be a human, you want to be a nice person, but you need your handlers. So what was that like? Was there any just like deflating moments? I obviously you let me get a glimpse of this. So I saw a couple like real moments, like where you were like down in the clouds, like, hey man, I need you to make some calls, man. I'm like, what was that like emotionally? Were you really going through it? Did you really want to go home and go to sleep that day? Just tell me what kind of allowed you to get yourself together in the midst of it?
There were definitely a lot of moments where it was hard.
Yeah.
When you keep trying to get up a mountain and then you keep getting knocked back down, and you got to keep going back up that mountain, get knocked back down.
Sure.
And it happened multiple times throughout the movie. It was hard, but again, there was a team involved. There were people involved.
That's good.
And I didn't want to let anyone down.
It's awesome.
And so for me, I'm a team player. I don't like to let people down, and I'll fight until the last breath. At the end of the day, there is a point where you have to stop. So you have to stop and say, okay, have I done enough to call it a day? And at that point you do.
Yeah.
But you got to keep going until that moment.
Awesome.
You'll know in your heart when it's time to stop.
That's good. Yeah. Because I think when you're, like I said, when you have ambition, and especially I can imagine as a filmmaker, as a creator in general, there has to be so much persistence involved to do something that's unique and creative that will drive an audience, right?
Yeah.
So, tempering that is have you ever been on the other side? Like, so now that you've established a real amazing career for yourself, even outside of finding Sandler, have you ever experienced the other side of that, where it's maybe a young kid, young creative trying to bust
in? I get messages. It's funny. I get messages on like LinkedIn all the time from people all over the world that you just want to work.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to work, right? Everyone wants to have a job and be doing what they want to do. I try to respond to everybody. For the most part, I would say I respond to everybody. Sometimes there are like outrageous messages that you don't respond to, but I try to respond.
Yeah.
I try to be as friendly as possible. I'm always open to giving advice. If anybody needs advice about something, it doesn't take a lot to be nice to people.
Man, come on. Tell the truth, brother.
Yeah. It doesn't.
No, seriously. Like, that's kind of one of my questions that I could allude to. Who, and whether, feel free to name drop, but who's the biggest jerk that you've met? I mean, like, we've all met a few jerks.
Are we talking about celebrities?
Yeah, like mostly in the celebrity lane. Like, I can imagine you might have bumped into a few on the journey to finding Sandler, but who is the biggest jerk? Like, you appear, even if we don't know them, even if we only know them in that moment, you appear to be a jerk for no reason.
I feel like Emeril Lagasse wasn't the easiest guy to deal with.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I made him smile once, and that made me proud. I was like, oh, I got him to smile. At least I got him to smile. But he, in the movie, I try to talk to him, and it's not very easy. He's got two handlers that are like trying to get me to go away, and I'm not budging. And when I met with him earlier that day inside the bookstore I don't want to give too much away from the movie.
No, it's all right. Y'all got to check out Finding Sandler immediately. We'll talk more about where we can find it. But go ahead, talk Emerald.
Essentially, in the movie, we decided that we wanted to get Emerald to come and cook appetizers if I had the drink with Adam. I was like, if I'm gonna have this drink with Adam Sandler, it's got to be like the coolest drink he'll ever have.
Yeah, this can't be the Chinese food store in Long Island or Jersey.
Right. So one of the things we decided to do was try and get Emerald to cook an appetizer. So ultimately. We snuck our way into a bookstore because back then you didn't have an iPhone that you could just go in and film with.
Yeah.
So what we did was we created a bag cam. So we had like this big, like
the
Barnes & Noble bag. We carved a hole in it, put the camera in the bag. This guy Vincent Shrinkowski came up with this brilliant idea, and we went in and I asked Emerald straight like we're talking right now. Hey Emerald, can I get a few minutes of your time to talk? And he said, yeah, no problem. It might be late. I said, no problem. I'll wait. So when his handlers came out, he didn't want to talk to me anymore. He wanted to go home, and I wasn't going to have it. I wasn't leaving until he came out to me directly and said, "I'm not going to talk to you," because then let him say that to me directly in front of the cameras and see how But at the end of the day, I made him smile. He was all right, nice. I went to shake his hand. He didn't shake my hand. He went right in the car. But it's a great scene in the movie.
Listen, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
My point in asking that is, having the experience, I always tell people I've been as low as you can go as an athlete. I've been a guy who wasn't desired. I was fortunate to get drafted, which is obviously not everybody. But, I've gotten arrested as a player, felt like a loser. And I've had the chance to climb the mountaintops and be on television shows and random stuff after the helmet catch. So I kind of know the lows of lows, and I know the highs of the highs. Yep. So I'm kind of versed, but I've always wanted to be honest, right? Like the worst thing we could do is say, hey man, I'm just not, I can't promise you anything, right? Then you could temper your expectations,
right?
And be like, well, he didn't promise me anything.
No.
But that's cool. Like I said, I've come across my fair share of, I'll call them perceived douchebags, like, because
I like that.
The reason why is you can't judge a person in the moment. I've been judged incorrectly in a moment. It's tough.
Look, he had a long day. He might have been tired. He was signing books all day. I'm sure his arm was hurting him.
Yeah, all that. I'm familiar with it. Trust me, I'm familiar with that side.
So I'm saying, like, I also get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But for my movie, like, I wasn't going to give up no matter what. So there was no chance I was leaving until he actually came out. So,
man, that is fantastic, man. What are some of your other proud accomplishments? And I think we'll probably get back into some of the stuff we're finding out. But what are some of your proud accomplishments as you've developed this career? Talk about your production company and maybe some of the stuff that you still do currently.
Yeah. So I do commercials, corporate videos, promotional videos, gala and fundraising films. I've helped raise a lot of money for nonprofits, which I love because it goes to a good cause. I would say out of all the stuff that I've done in my production company, beyond like Finding Sandler,
which is huge.
Yeah. the one standout film for me, which will always be close to my heart, and no pun intended here, was the American Heart Association film I did. It was the first one I ever did for them, called The Heart of a Dancer. And it was about this 14-year-old woman at the time.
Sure.
And she was a dancer, and she ended up having a major heart problem and had to get surgery. And as she got open heart surgery, and at the hospital, when it was all done, she's like, there was like 6 months till nationals, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna dance at nationals, and I'm gonna win." And everybody, like her family and her coaches and all of them, like, "Oh, just get better." Like they're all like, "Yeah, no freaking chance, right?" This girl ends up going to nationals 6 months later and winning.
Wow.
Epic, unbelievable. And
beast.
And the content, just the everything about that film, is moving, emotional, and it's just such a great story that I'll always love it. And the cool part about the whole thing is, after the fact, I ended up becoming friends with the family. So every now and then I'll see them and speak to them, and so that's probably one of my favorite films that I've ever made.
Well done. That's an amazing story. My mom actually passed away from a heart attack, so I actually did some work with American Heart Association. So that Listen, another connection.
Yeah.
Powerful work through storytelling. So you're adding so much value. So I gotta think, because you're right here in the middle of an amazing moment. Make sure everybody finds a way to see Finding Sandler. Now that you've kind of got to this apex experience and the film is done, what are some of your goals moving forward? I know there's tremendous work and stability within your company, but is there anything big on the horizon? From David Seth Cohen.
Another great question. This guy's filled with great questions. So I have a tennis comedy that I wrote with 3 other people.
Nice.
And we hope to, raise enough funds to get that made. In fact, previous to the pandemic, we had raised a significant amount of money, $2.5 million.
Nice.
But our investor wanted us to match the money. And unfortunately, we weren't able to match it in the time frame that he gave us.
So he gave you a time
frame. Yeah, it was like 6 months.
Oh
you ever see the movie Brewster's Millions back in the day? Richard Pryor.
Oh gosh, sadly I can say I haven't. That's
okay,
sad.
So Brewster's Millions years ago. You should definitely check it out. Richard Pryor. In the movie, he was his uncle passed away and left him it was some sort of ridiculous amount of money, $35 million or something.
Okay.
And he had to spend all that money in a certain amount of time to be able to actually get the money. Right? So, yeah, it was this whole big thing.
And that's way back in the day.
Yeah, so I feel like my quest to find this matching money was like the opposite of that, where I had to find this match to be able to make it. So anyway, we weren't able to match it at that point. And so we had to send the money back to the investor. Oh, top 10 worst days of my life, sending that back.
Sending back $2.5 million.
So that film is still
Macaulay Culkin style, bro. I'm telling you.
So that film is still kind of on the burner.
Right, listen, we got work to do.
Yes. And then recently I do a lot of commercials, and there was an agency that brought me on to help produce a bunch of political ads.
Nice.
And I was in the car just BSing with the director who I work with on all these spots. We shot over 20 commercials in a 2-month span in a variety of cities around the country. And
a lot of commercial work.
Yeah.
They should have hired me.
Yeah. You should be a politician, man. So
I'm missing out on all the money grabs.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, so the quick story is we're hanging out in the car. Me and this guy Eric, and I tell him, I'm looking to try and do an animated pilot for a 30-minute series. Like I want to do a series of for like a Netflix or Hulu or Prime or whatever, And I originally wanted to do something that was kind of like a Star Wars parody. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love that it's got action and comedy and all of that.
Who's your favorite character from Star Wars?
Oh, jeez.
Any part of the whole?
I mean, Yoda.
Beast.
Yeah.
Easy grab.
He's short like me.
Yeah.
He's super powerful Jedi. And he's got the best wisdom. The wisdom of Yoda is awesome.
Yoda's wisdom is
it's brilliant.
I mean, it's just.
I mean, do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
All these are major things to live by. Seriously. Major things. Whenever somebody sends me a message and I text somebody, I'm like, can you do this? Oh, I'll try. I write back, do or do not. There is no try.
Immediate response.
Every
time. Get that crap out of here.
Yeah, come on. So either you can do it or you're not going to do it.
No doubt.
Be straight with me.
Oh, bro. See, that's like music to my spirit right there. Yeah. That's how I am. Shoot straight.
Yeah, just shoot straight with me. So I had this idea, and a couple weeks later, he sends me a text message. And he's like, "Hey, I got a couple ideas for some shows. You mind if I write something?" I'm like, "All right," And I'm like, Eric's a political writer. He writes political ads. I'm like, "All right." So, in my head, I'm like, "Can he
pull this off?"
Long story short. He, a week later, he sends me the first 5 pages of this thing. It's like a tease. And I'm reading it, and I was blown away. I was like, you ever see Deadpool?
Yeah, no doubt.
So it made me feel like Deadpool. And I love Deadpool. I think Ryan Reynolds' sarcasm in that movie and the writing of the movie, that's how it made me feel. And then I said, listen, this is amazing.
Got it.
Keep going. So he goes and he writes a full 30-page script, which is 30 pages is 30 minutes.
Got it.
And blown away by the whole thing. I love it. And so the project's called Code of the Samurai.
Okay.
And we don't want to do it like, your typical Japanese anime. We want to do it with like different kind of characters. And it's just a really cool, funny, action-packed animated series.
You got the name.
Yeah.
Code of the Samurai.
Code of the Samurai.
Last Samurai was one of my favorite ones, so I think I'm kind of fall for anything with samurai in it at this point in my life.
Well, shout out to Eric Goldman who wrote that. So yeah.
Bruh?
Yeah, that's his name.
I love it, man. You got all listen. I'm getting all the behind the scenes vibe. So listen, with someone with so much breadth of experience in film, in editing, like you do it all. You're full service. What would be your tips, right? This is the world of the creator. What are your, like, how do you stay sober in this world? Because you kind of grew up before it, in it, had to have a tremendous skill set. How do you stay sober-minded about these pursuits that everyone has in the creative space, as well as try to pursue your dream, what you're living out right now?
Well, look, obviously you got to pay the bills. So the production company doing the commercials and corporate videos and all that kind of stuff, that pays the bills.
Awesome.
I love what I do. So at the end of the day, when you love what you do, it's not work. Like I'm sure when you were playing football, you loved football. I mean, you had to.
I love running down the field full speed, running into 600 pounds of linemen.
It's got to be great.
I was a wedge. I ran down on kickoff.
Yeah.
But you know what? There was nothing like the game. There wasn't.
Kickoff returns are tough. Quick funny story about that. So I'm obviously way smaller than you. I'm a short guy.
Yeah.
Weigh nothing, right? When I was in high school, I was always very fast.
Okay.
So the football coach had said to me, "Hey, you ever think about doing kick returns?" I was like, "No." I killed. So I played soccer. I played baseball.
Gotcha.
I played tennis. But kick returns, I was a little scared. So I all props to you for being a solid kick returner and taking that.
I didn't return it. I was really responsible for the guy running down to destroy the kick returner. So it's pretty, like, for me as a receiver, receivers are known to be the kick returner. I was actually on the front line. Blocking, which was a nightmare.
You're a protector.
So just imagine, think of a defensive end. And I think at one point they actually had Julius Peppers on kickoff at one point during my career. I'm on the front line, running downfield, and I got to catch a 260-pound lineman running down on kickoff. Not the funnest thing to do.
Take out the legs? You take out the legs.
You can't take out the legs, bro. I wish I could have me a little karate kid, little Johnny.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
That's funny.
No doubt, man. This is pretty awesome. So, I mean, there's so much cool parts. So obviously, at the end of the day, pursue those dreams. Be practical.
Yes.
With somebody who's cultivating the skill sets. In your estimation of somebody who has the skills, how do you know somebody has it in the film creative world? Like, is there an it factor? Is there some cues? What's the intuitive nature of being
I think realistically, it's when you're on set and you're shooting with somebody, like, for example, a director of photography.
Sure.
You could tell right off the bat whether they have the skills and knowledge to do what's necessary on certain shoots. Some people are more, are better for smaller shoots, and other people are better for bigger shoots.
Got it.
And so, look, somebody could have the greatest equipment in the world, but they might be terrible at what they do. I think the knowledge that the person brings, you learn it when you're with them. This guy that I work with on a lot of my corporate stuff, he's been in the business for 20-something years. I mean, he's got experience.
Got it.
The guy that DP'd my movie, his name's Guy Morgan. He was also in the movie.
Got it.
That guy had like 25, 30 years of experience. So
Gotcha.
It's a lot of experience. People could pick up a camera and know how to shoot and make it look nice and all that. But I think in the pressure times, it's experience of knowing what to do and when to do it.
So there's no way around it. I think that's important for everybody to listen to. If you're going to really excel and find yourself to be set apart within your industry, it's the repetition, it's the experience.
Doing it.
It's and that's when you start getting out of the mechanical, where you get into the intuitive, where your eye is catching. That's some of the subtleties that sports often brings out. When you get the repetition, then you realize where you can kind of skirt something, cheat something, and that all plays its role. So here's a kind of rebound question that, in light of your experiences, in light of, man, like I was so intrigued with, your breadth of experience as well as this massive accomplishment with Finding Sandler. What is your mission and what is your motivation? So I know there's a lot of things moving forward, but hey, David Seth Cohen, he's out there kicking it. What's your mission? What's your motivation?
You know, my mission has always been that I want to put out quality work.
Excellent.
You know, and I want to do what I love doing, and I want to follow my dreams and make them come true. I think everybody wants to do that. It's not easy.
No.
You know, and there's a lot of down moments.
Yeah.
But just doing what I love. I want to just keep doing what I love. As long as I'm doing what I love then it's not work. Awesome. It doesn't feel like work.
There was a moment that I got to refer to in Finding Sandler. And I think, like, when I look at it, man, considering the time, there were some losses, right? So at the time you had a girlfriend, but even more intently, your grandmother, who was a big part of this. Talk to me about some of that part of it. Like, man, are there scars? I know this is like a massive celebration, but and tell me what the ultimate takeaway was from this multi-year, this decade-long pursuit.
As far as my grandmother goes, part of the reason I made Finding Sandler, I know this is probably going to sound really stupid, but part of the reason I made Finding Sandler was because I knew that my grandma I put her in it because I knew she had a great personality. She also, she was
a rock star.
She's great. And she also did give some funds to help me get the film off the ground, which was huge. But in a film, and you know this because your films from sports, they live on forever.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, if I make this movie and my grandma's in it, she's going to live on forever.
Dope.
And that was part of the reason that I wanted her to be a part of it.
Excellent.
Aside from that, and she's just funny. I mean, I got to tell you, every single festival we've been at, every time she's on screen, there's laughs. Like, awesome. She's definitely the star. Like, amazing. I'm on camera way too much. She should have been on way. She should have been on way more.
Listen, I'm not going to tease anymore because I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to check this out. But that part of it, and like I said, I came out. So what was like I said, I think you get into it, but you didn't. What was the biggest takeaway from Finding Sandler?
The biggest takeaway was the fact that, like, in the movie, I ultimately find myself. Look, originally the movie was about, hey, I got to find Adam Sandler, and that's going to make my dream come true. But in the end, I realized that it really wasn't about Adam Sandler. He was the inspiration for the movie, and he was the reason that I kind of went and did it. But at the end, it's really about making my dream come true of becoming a filmmaker.
Excellent.
And finishing the movie and all that my dream came true. I could legitimately say I'm a filmmaker. I have a feature-length documentary that I finished, And
man, this is so iconic what you're saying that, because you said, you pursued your dream, but you ultimately found yourself within that. Man, that's like a whole a whole life experience, a whole catch the moment takeaway in general. And I think that's something that all of us can really grab hold of, because there's goals, there's dreams, there's achievements on the line, and you don't stop once you accomplish something significant. So that continues. But if you can recognize what we gained through the pursuit, man, we're gonna be light years ahead. Bro, I can't thank you enough just for your story, your journey. You're inspiring, and I know that your life is going to continue to be an example. Make sure, hey, listen, everybody, make sure y'all check Finding Sandler. Now that we got Finding Sandler, you got to find Finding Sandler so we can support this guy's mission, his motivation. Dave, thank you so much for being a guest with me today and sharing your story, brother.
No, thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure, and congratulations to you on your podcast, and here's to many more episodes to come.
Listen, I'm going to have some of his wisdom in the background. This guy's amazing. Listen, I want to make sure you check this out. Like, subscribe, share, do everything. Let's keep this movement going, and we're going to make sure that you arrive at your destination and catch your moment. Thank y'all for tuning in.